and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. In this video, I will guide you through a series of drum fills arranged in different subdivisions, and the goal is to develop a deeper understanding of time by orchestrating the single stroke roll in quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, and 16th note triplets. So if you haven't already, you can access this course for free at www.drummerlab.com, and under the courses section, you will find the course Drum Fill Creativity. Now your screen might look different than mine. That's because I'm using a very early version of DrummerLab, but the content is exactly the same. So once you access the course here, you'll notice that there are 23 different drum fills, 23 exercises, and they are categorized by subdivision. So if you want to focus just on quarter notes, you can filter it like that, or 16th notes, etc. In this case, I am going to start from quarter notes, and then I'm going to play and break down all the drum fills one at a time. I'm not going to spend too much time with each one of them so that I don't make this video too long. But being that said, we'll get started here. I'll take a couple minutes to explain how these exercises are structured. So we'll always start by playing the single stroke roll on the snare drum. Then we'll do 3, 4, or 5 orchestrations. We'll start by playing clockwise, and then we'll start complicating things, and then at the end we'll even add some kicks. So even if it feels very easy right now, it's going to get pretty complicated by the end. So if you're a beginner and you're just starting to get familiar with the concept of drum fills, this is a great starting point. And also, if you're a little bit more advanced, but you're struggling with timing, especially rushing drum fills, this is also a great starting point because we're going to focus on the count as well. The count is an important part of all of this. And what I mean with that is you want to be able to count out loud eighth notes while you transition your eighth note drum beat to a quarter note drum fill. So, for example, if I'm always counting eighth notes, 1 and 2, a great way not to rush the drum fill, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Instead of approaching the drum fill as, okay, I have to slow down and play it twice as slow as the drum beat, my brain is always going to stay in eighth notes. And even if my brain is counting eighth notes, I want my hands to play quarter notes. So you want to separate what your voice is doing and what you're thinking with what you're playing. That's going to give you incredible independence and timing as well. So if you're not very familiar with counting out loud, this is a great way to start practicing that. By the time you've played a few of them, you'll understand what I mean with this and why this is so important. So let's start playing this here. You can change the tempo to 70 beats per minute, 60, you can slow it down, speed it up, however you want. I'm just going to play this drum fill here 3 or 4 times, and then we'll move on to the next one. So 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So the count, make sure you can count it. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. And once you can count it out loud, you can also try to speak over it, and that's just going to release a lot of that tension. 2 and 3, 4, and improve your timing as well. One more. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Something else you can do with DrummerLab that I think is really cool is if you want to change the drum beat, you can add kicks, you can add left hand, right hand. Now that the toolbars are enabled as well, I could add more beats if I wanted. I could change the subdivisions. I could do anything I want here. But for the purpose of keeping things simple, I'm going to keep this drum beat as easy as possible so that we can focus on the drum fill. And also, if you're used to playing 3 measures of the beat and 1 measure of the fill, you can change that by going to this section here and selecting how many times you want to repeat that measure. So those are all helpful tools because the goal is also that you come up with your own orchestrations and your own ideas. So So now that we play this on the snare drum, we're gonna move on to our first orchestration. And the first orchestration, we have now the right hand on the snare, left hand on thumb 1, then a right hand on thumb 2. And as you can see, I don't have thumb 2, I don't have my drum set arranged like that. And then on beat 4, left hand on thumb 3 or the floor tom. Since I don't have thumb 2, for this example here, I'm going to move my right hand to thumb 3. And we're going to keep this at 60 beats per minute, and we'll play it a couple times. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 more. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now we're going to go to our second orchestration. It's going to be a little bit more complicated. This one's a little bit trickier to get, but once you get it, this one's very useful. It sounds really cool when you speed it up, and then when you mix it with other patterns. So what you have here is 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. So let's speed this one up to 80. See how it sounds. 85. 2, 3 and 4 and 1. 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 more. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so that was the second orchestration of what we're calling drum fill 1. And now we're going to move on to our third orchestration, which is adding the kick. 2 and always counting eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1. Last one. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And we're gonna come back to this pattern right here once when we play 16th notes and 16th note triplets as well. So it's gonna get faster. Don't worry about this. And that was the last quarter note drum fill. Now we're gonna move on to eighth notes. This one is very simple. It's pretty straightforward. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And the one thing you want to pay attention to here is that your count always stays the same. Something that I've noticed is that we tend to speed up the drum fill. So we tend to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So you want to make sure that that's not happening to you. And once again, counting out loud is the way to fix that. So we're still going to play it. Let's play it a couple times, then we're going to move on. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and last one. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. All right, so now let's move on to the orchestrations. The first orchestration, we're going to play one beat on each drum. So beat 1, snare, beat 2, tom 1, beat 3, I don't have tom 2, and beat 4 on tom 3. This time, instead of playing beat 3 here, I'm going to change my right cymbal to a tom 2, just to make it more visual to you guys. So there we go. Now my right cymbal became tom 2. So now we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and let's play this at 80 beats per minute. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And if you're playing on an acoustic drum set, make sure that you're hitting the center of the drum and that you're making the drum pop. You don't want your drum fill to sound shy and weak. You really want to dig in. All right, the second orchestration, we're going to go back to this one here, but this time instead of quarter notes, we're playing it in eighth notes, which means that instead of playing it one time, we're going to play it twice as fast. And we're always going to be counting eighth notes to make sure that we're not rushing it. I'll keep this one at 50. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 more. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1. All this is pretty simple once you've practiced it enough. Now for orchestration number 3, we're going to combine the previous two. So on beats 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and, we're going to play orchestration 1. And then 3 and 4 and, 3 and 4 and is orchestration 2. So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and last one, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Excellent. And now orchestration 4 is the one where we're gonna add the kicks. So now we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, making sure that we keep the eighth notes steady. Let's play 65. 2, 3 and 4 and right, left, kick, kick, right, left, right, kick, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. We have a double kick there at the end. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, kick, kick. One more. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Very good. And if you're new to this one, pay attention, pay close attention to this kick and this one right here. Very easy to rush those two notes. So anyways, moving on to, now we're going to go to 16th note subdivisions. Just like we played quarter notes on the snare while counting eighth notes, we're pretty much going to do the same thing here. We're going to count 16th notes this time while playing eighth notes. So the drum fill goes 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. It's the exact same drum fill as if I played 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But why would I want to count 16th notes if I'm not playing them? Well, that's because in case, which is what we're going to do next, I start playing 16th notes, I don't want to do what I used to do before, which was, okay, I'm playing eighth notes, now I'm going to go to 16th notes. That means that I have to go twice as fast. The moment you do that, you can get really close to it, but it's never going to be accurate. Sometimes you're going to get it right, sometimes you're going to be way off, and it's just not a reliable method. But if you're already counting 16th notes, even though you're still playing eighth notes, you don't have to make such a big transition anymore because your mind is already counting 16th notes. This is what I mean. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. I can even count 16th notes while playing an eighth note beat. 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Now it's very easy to keep the time. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. So you see it's way easier once you can do that to play all sorts of syncopations without speeding up, without getting anxious about it, and without having to hold your breath to do it. So let's play it a few times. We'll bring it down to 40 beats per minute, and make sure you feel comfortable counting the 16th notes while you play 8th notes. This is going to be a huge advantage for the upcoming exercises. It's going to get more complicated, I promise. 3 and 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, 2 and 3, one more, last one, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. All right, now that we can count 16th notes, we can actually play them. And at first, you'll see that I accented the first note of each beat. You can accent notes by right-clicking on them, and then you can either accent them or making them clear. When you start playing this, you'll feel that the downbeat has a lot of gravity. What I mean with that is that when you play a single stroke roll in 16th notes, you're going to tend to accent the first note of the group of 4, like this. 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a. That's fine at first, but then you want to be able to keep everything even. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So that's something to keep in mind, but in this case we're just going to accent the first note of each beat. And here we go. 1, 2, and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. And if this feels very easy for you and you want to make things a little bit more interesting, we can clear all these notes here and we can create our own accent pattern. So this of course is more advanced, but I just want you to see how far this can go and how cool, the many applications this has. And I'm telling you, without being able to count this out loud, this type of drum fill becomes pretty much impossible. So I just accented some random notes there, and it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2. Moving on to orchestration 1. So we're still playing 16th notes. And once again, we're going to play beat 1 on the snare, beat 2, tom 1, beat 3, tom 2, and beat 4, tom 3. Got a little bit mixed up there with all the numbers, but remember, I have my ride cymbal as tom 2. So this time we have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. This was probably one of the first drum fills you learned, but once again, this time we're counting 16th notes. We're laying a good foundation for what's coming next. And since this one you probably already know it, let's play it at 85 beats per minute. 3 and 4 and 1 E. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1 E and a. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, second orchestration. Now we're playing 2 notes on each drum, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, which means that we have to go around again. 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and And for this one, it's a little bit harder to speed it up and being accurate and hitting the drum right in the center. So you probably want to spend a lot of time practicing this one really slowly. In this case, we're gonna go 65 beats per minute. 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Let's do a couple more. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Without hitting the sticks. 3, 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. All right. For this kind of drum fill is where it'd be really nice to have another crash here or to have my ride back so that I can crash it, but it's a good exercise anyway. So orchestration 3, we have this one here again. But now we're playing it in 16th notes, and this is where things start getting very interesting. This is where we start to get to the intermediate level. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. All right, we're gonna keep it at 50 beats per minute. This is what it sounds like. 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. You can also count 8 notes. 1 and 2. It makes it a little bit more complicated. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Last one. We count 16th notes again. 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. All right, moving on to the next orchestration. We're going to once again combine the previous orchestrations. Beat 1, we stay on the snare, 1 E and up. Then beat 2, 2 E and up. Then beat 3 and 4, 3 E and a 4 E and a. So we have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. If you're having trouble putting all these ideas together, you can go back and practice the other ones. This becomes pretty easy after a while. So let's speed it up a little bit. Let's do 75, see how that sounds. 3 and 4 and 1 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a. The faster you go, the harder it is to count 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 16th notes. So you can try to count 8 notes. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Or quarter notes too. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Great exercise. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So like I said, the faster you go, the harder it becomes to go 1 E and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 E and a. So that's where you switch to quarter notes. The slower you go, the easier it becomes to count 16th notes and the harder it becomes to count quarter notes. So it's a little bit counterintuitive there, but once you practice it, it makes a lot of sense. And we have our final orchestration where we add some kicks to the equation. We have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So it's pretty much the same as the previous one, except that we're adding kicks on the and a of 1 and a kick on the a of 2. Everything else is still the same. So let's play it at, we'll play this one twice. This one is a really cool drum fill. This one is a very good one to know. So we'll play it at 50 first and then I'll play it again at a higher tempo. 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. Quarter notes. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, now what would this one sound like at 85? 3 and 4 and. Count quarter notes. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 you're counting 16th notes, you want to make sure that your voice is perfectly in sync with your hands. Once you can do that, you'll see how much better your feel becomes. So, all right, that was it for our 16th note drum fills. Our drum fill 4, or our last section, is going to be 16th note triplets. Now, there are many ways of counting 16th note triplets. You can count it in groups of 6, you can count 2 groups of 3, you can count 3 groups of 2. This is where we start getting into polyrhythms as well, so I'm not interested in doing that at this moment. So just to keep things simple, we're always going to count eighth notes. So what that means is that the eighth note stays the same, 1 and 2 and. But when we get to beats 3 and 4 of the drum fill, we have to squeeze in 3 notes per beat. But this stays the same, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So if you can do that, the 16th note triplets are going to make much more sense. Instead of just thinking, I just know I have to speed up a lot and let's hope that I land on 1. That, to be honest, doesn't really work. So make sure you can count eighth notes and play this. That's really the way to go. So we're going to start really slow, 40 beats per minute, which can make it challenging as well, and see how it goes. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. We'll do a couple more. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and last one. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, and now we can, before we move on to the orchestrations, we're going to play, we're moving to the orchestrations, never mind. We are going to play, once again, beat 1 on the snare, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You can also count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll speed it up a little bit more. We'll go with 50. Let's do 50. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. This time keep the volume even for all the strokes. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 more. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, now let's go to the second orchestration. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So pretty much we're doing this here. And we're going once, then we're going back, then we're going again. And when we go back, our last stop is going to be tom 1. So you have 2 strokes per drummer. Right there. We'll keep this one really slow because you really want to make sure you're playing every note exactly where it belongs. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 more, last one. have a couple more orchestrations ahead. This one, once again, if you're not counting it, it's gonna feel like you're playing 16th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're always pivoting back to the snare. Snare, tom 1, snare, tom 2, snare, tom 3, and then repeat. Snare, tom 1, snare, tom 2, snare, tom 3. This time we're gonna speed it up a little bit more. What about 65? 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2. Caught me a little bit off guard. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Last one. 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. All right. I was way too relaxed for this one. Let's go to orchestration 4, which now we're going to start combining things around without the kick. This time we'll go 1 and 2 and. So that's the previous one. Then beat 3 we have 3 and then to close it out 4 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. For this one we're gonna go slow again so that you can follow along, and then you feel free to speed it up however you want. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and my bad, sorry. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That was better. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and last one. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And now the next step is to add some kicks to it. This one is very tricky. This one's very tricky. 1 and 2 and. That's our beats 1 and 2. Once again, 1 and 2 and. Now we have this pattern that we've been playing all this time through, but we have to add 2 more notes to it. So we're gonna add 2 kicks to it. So you have 3 and 3 and. Now if we put beats 1, 2, and 3 together, you have 1 and the and lands with the second kick. That's what makes this one so tricky. 1 and 2 and 3 and now beat 4 is pretty much the easy one. That's the one that is setting you up to go back to your drum beat. So if I go really slowly, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, and let's play this one at 55 that way, or let's do 65. This way I can encourage you to try to speed it up and then come back to this video here. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now counting 8th notes. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And last one, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So barely survived that one there. So I told you it was gonna get a little bit more complicated here, and we have one more. And this last drum fill here is just to show you that you can also combine 16th notes with 16th note triplets within the same measure. So this is where it gets even more advanced, and it's harder to count. It's harder to count 16th notes to 8th note triplets. That's why I didn't put the 8th note triplets here, because we'll talk about polyrhythms in a different video. But when you play 16th note triplets, The 16th notes and the 16th note triplets share the same and. So if you're counting eighth notes, you don't need to switch your count. All you need to do is change your hands from 16th notes to 16th note triplets. So if you've practiced this enough, all you have to do is focus on your count, keep a steady count, and then your hands will follow through depending on if you want to play 16th notes or 16th note triplets. So 50 beats per minute, this is what you have. Remember, they share same eighth note. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Last one. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And now let's try 80 beats per minute. One more. Okay, so with that, we've completed this course. What's more important here is that you get a structured idea on how to become creative with your own drum fills. So now you can change it to a double stroke roll, you can change the orchestration. But if you follow this structure of starting everything on the snare and then slowly orchestrating things while counting out loud, I guarantee you this is going to elevate your creativity, your drum fills, your timing, and your feel, and also your skills to a completely different level. And if you have any questions or any comments, please write them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer them as best as I can. Other than that, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.